Are you tired of weight loss products filled with artificial ingredients and empty promises? Discover the power of nature with Pure Revive, the ultimate solution for healthy weight loss. Check out the link in the video description now to start your journey with Pure Revive.
The great panjandrums of the Democratic Party were in panic last night after President Biden's faltering, mumbling, confused, and often incoherent performance in the presidential debate with Donald Trump. It might not have been a complete car crash, but it was pretty close. "We're freaking out," said one Democratic Party strategist. "The well of affection for Biden among Democrats has run dry," said another. Yes, Trump sprayed around wild accusations and even the odd outright lie, regularly failed to answer the question and at times must have crippled the fact-checking machine. But his voice was strong, his answers clear, his discipline uncharacteristically impressive. Crucially, Biden was unable to call Trump to account on any of his falsehoods or nonsense. He was just too weak, too feeble, too old, too infirm, as many feared he would be. When he should have been going in for the kill, he merely flubbed and meandered, leaving Trump largely unscathed. So much for all the White House lies about Biden still being up to the job. After being holed up for 7 days at Camp David with his advisors prepping for the debate, a remarkable amount of time for a man with a country to run, he emerged with his brain crammed with facts but without the mental acuity to process them and deploy them in a logical, telling manner. Instead, his riposts often just tailed away into nothing. A friend said to me she wished there had been subtitles. But no subtitle software, even one using the latest AI, could have coped with Biden's rambling incoherence. His spinners let it be known he was suffering from a cold. Nobody quite believed it. Nobody thought it a good enough excuse even if true. I have watched, live, every TV presidential debate since the genre was restarted by Jerry Ford and Jimmy Carter in 1976. There was a 16-year interregnum after the original and historic John F. Kennedy v. Richard Nixon debates in 1960. Biden's first 15 minutes last night was the worst start of any presidential candidate ever. There's been a nascent dump Biden tendency in the upper echelons of the Democratic Party for some time. I wrote about it several times last year. But it's been too timid to go public, too afraid to act. After last night, senior Democrats and their media cheerleaders are now flocking to the cause. The post-debate analysis of the unofficial broadcasting arms of the Democratic Party, like CNN, which hosted the debate, and MSNBC, or MSDNC, as Trump calls it, were dominated by left-wing pundits in despair and calls for Biden to step down. The immediate reaction of the pro-democratic public prince was also brutal. The oh-so-woke New York Magazine bluntly opined that Biden had failed. Variety, wise after the event, was reduced to saying, Biden should never have debated Trump. Not for the first time, the Babylon Bee was most cutting of all. Biden invents new language on live TV. We do not yet know if the growing head of steam behind the Dump Biden movement will get its way. There is still a reluctance to force him out. They would much rather he fell on his sword. The pressure on him to do so will now be immense. In the days ahead, a cacophony of Democratic voices will at last find the courage to speak out. Democratic strategists had hoped Jill Biden, by now, would have taken her husband aside and told him not to run again. To remind everybody that he beat Trump in 2020, righted the economy, brought stability back to government. To say he always intended to be a transitional president and that it was time to pass the baton to a younger generation after a job well done. In other words, to declare victory and go home. That, at least, is how it could be spun. But the First Lady has grown rather fond of the privileges and prominence of her position and was rather looking forward to 4 more years in the White House. So she has done nothing to help ease Biden out, gently and humanely. Quite the opposite, in fact. She urged him to go for a second term. After last night, a compassionate wife would surely have second thoughts. If not, and if, as is almost certain, upcoming polls confirm the worst fears of Democrats, that Biden will struggle to recover from last night's calamitous setback, then the party's bigwigs will have to visit Biden and quietly but firmly lay out some harsh realities. With enough influential names, their entreaties will be impossible.